Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look here at Movr really quick, see what's going on. If you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, just love teaching people how to trade. I really hope you can learn something here today. My goal and my passion is to make sure you're more self-sufficient, so I did actually create a community, which is in the description below, link in the description. Check that out, CryptoCache.tech is the website where you can go to just become a community member and learn and grow together. It's a really awesome experience. I send out signals for every trade that I take. I have a trading community and academy, of course, to teach you to become a better trader. All right, take a look here at Movr though. Here's something I want to identify because I got a question like, hey, it broke out recently. Why did this happen? Well, we can explain. I can kind of show you the things you look for when there's going to be a breakout or an uptrend. Okay, so first of all, trend reversals. There's key takeaways to look for. First of all, when you're in a downward trend like we saw previously here, again from, in some cases, a lot of coins from all the way from December till March, right? It was a really big, significant downtrend for Bitcoin. So in this regard here, this example here, we can see from February all the way down to middle of March, there's been a trend line moving here. So you can kind of see, I already drew this here, of course, but generally speaking, from the most recent high to the low there, you can kind of see it could not pass this point. It had trouble passing that point. So generally speaking, when you see the price continue to progress outside of that, so like right here, for example, this is the first thing to look for. Obviously, it broke its trend line. It's no longer diverging, so to speak, or effectively decreasing in price, because it's hard to identify specific things when, or breakouts when the price just continues to decline. Okay, so first step is to identify that. Second thing to identify is essentially the price on an incline. Okay, because a lot of times it'll go sideways after it breaks a trend, but if it goes on an incline like this, for example, then you want to try to identify that. Okay, cool, it's on an incline now. That's really good stuff. And now the fact of the matter is, though, that's not going to tell you everything. What's going to tell you a lot, though, is when it breaks its most recent high. And that's when you see the breakout in most cases. So what I mean by that here is this is the most recent high. And you can kind of see the price action here. When the price keeps testing and trying to break through this same exact resistance level as before, that's a case in point where you want to pay attention. Okay? And the more often you test something, the more likely it is to break, of course. So generally speaking, when you see this tested once, twice, 3 times, that's a case in point where you want to go ahead and consider taking entry. Because the fourth day, in most cases, is always going to be a turnaround or a breakthrough. In this case, a breakthrough, of course, occurred with a large amount of volume, and it basically broke its highest point that it couldn't pass before in the downward trend, but also in the uptrend as well, because it couldn't break it there. So again, just something to look for. You look for a downtrend, then an uptrend, of course, and then that uptrend needs to be able to consolidate, essentially, which is what it did here, at the previous resistance. Okay. All right, so that's kind of basically an indication of what happened here and how and why this broke out to the upside today. That being said, we want to take a look and see if this is going to sustain. So let's go ahead and find out. First of all, with simple moving average, we're up above the 50 SMA. That's fantastic news. We like to see that. We don't have a 200 on this chart here, so that's perfectly fine. But on the one day, we can see we're above that. And that was also another kind of reiteration of the fact that, hey, we're in good shape here. Yes, it's testing a key level resistance, but we're up above the 200. Or sorry, the 50. That's the 50-day SMA. Looking at the RSI, we can see 70 getting tested right now, which is fairly synonymous with $85 on this Fibonacci retracement level. So I would speculate that $85, we can't get a one-day candlestick close above that. That could potentially work as a resistance moving forward. For now, might actually be a support level. We can get enough consolidation right at that price point. Again, that's how support and resistance levels work, but you need more data than just a half of a trading day. So what I like to always do is wait for the full trading day to be finished in order to kind of get the best understanding of what's happening and what's going on. We'll know a lot more when the trading day is closed, but a close above that would be extremely important to not only break 70 on the RSI, but also to essentially allow us to continue higher, right? So that's generally what we're looking at. So again, mostly good stuff here on the one day. 4 hour looks pretty good as well. We're up over both moving averages. Excuse me. And if you can see, significant amount of volume, but obviously a very large candle wick up. So it got rejected at the highest point there, about $96. Came back down to support to test the most recent support level. So generally speaking, I think in this sense, we can expect the price to kind of continue sideways and diagonal from here. But what we want to do is kind of draw out a trend line here just to be on the safe side and see if this trend continues. Now again, trend lines, the more often they're tested, the more likely they are to break. Actually, let me rephrase that. Those are support and resistance levels. Trend lines, the more often it's tested, the more likely it is to hold. Okay. In other words, if we can see this, it's been tested a few times here on the 4 hour. The likelihood of it coming over and testing it and continuing higher is pretty high. So in most cases, if you have a trend line like this, the likelihood of it continuing is greater. Again, until it breaks, of course, and then we kind of got to look at it again and see what's going on. But generally speaking here, Movr's looking like it wants to continue sideways and up from here, but we probably see a little bit of consolidation at the current price point because it jumped up way too hard, way too fast. If we look at TD sequential, we're at a 9 right now too. That's another reason why a pullback might be necessary. So just note, if there's a pullback and it comes below this trend line, then we kind of got to reevaluate things and anticipate the fact that, hey, we might have a support level at 76 and or potential resistance at 84, right? So we'll see here soon essentially what that boils down to, but once again, a one-day candlestick close at a price point higher than this would be great. We'd really like to see that. But my speculation on the big picture here is that Movr is going to get, I wouldn't say stopped out, but it's going to need to consolidate and slow down for a little bit. We should expect at least 24 hours of consolidation before the next leg up. So we definitely need to be seeing some sideways action before the next increase. But this amount of volume is good in a sense because we have more volume coming into Movr, and market capitalization is diminishing, so to speak, on Bitcoin as well. So it just goes to show that a lot of altcoins like this are taking that market capitalization. Okay. All right. And excuse me, I'm sorry about clearing my throat. I'm actually kind of getting over a cold. My throat is a bit on the dry side here today. Not so great, but I appreciate your patience. All right, so that's kind of where we're at on the 4 hour TD sequential overextended. Pullback is potential. The likelihood of that is higher considering we're hitting 70 on the RSI as well. That's normally a point of resistance. So my speculation here is that we're going to get a one-day candlestick close below 85, and we'll probably see something along the lines of sideways retracement, perhaps even a pendant type of pattern that might eventually break out to the upside. Again, we don't know specifically just yet, but I think a little bit of time will help us understand that, right? 1 hour time frame here, very similar scenario. We can see we came up to a 6 and got a reset, previously a 9. So we did hit a reset, we hit a 9 here, barely got a reset and cranked all the way up to a 4 and then reset to a 3. So generally speaking here, TD sequential isn't telling us much here except for the fact that it's hit 2 9s in a row even before it took off this next second time. So Movr is breaking out, yes, but this is, I wouldn't say the healthiest pattern. It's overextending itself on the 1 hour, even though we got some resets here and it's consolidating. It's still been the overextended side, so it just needs to go sideways some more, right? But generally speaking, again, we're starting to see kind of a pendant type of pattern again. It's starting to kind of give us that indication that, hey, perhaps we might see the price kind of continue sideways and then wrap up here from here. We don't know, but generally speaking, that's it does look like it wants to continue to break out to the upside. Just know it's overextended, and oftentimes when coins get to this point and they become too overextended, they'll pull back a lot harder than we'd like. So to me, why not consolidate, maybe retrace a little bit, get a nice bounce off 76 and or 85 and continue higher. That would make sense, right? To me, that's the way it should work, but nothing works the way that you always want it to. All right, but all in all, very good shape here in this sense. Let's take a look at the Ichimoku cloud. We're well above the cloud, of course. Obviously, we got the price above the cloud. Conversion line above the baseline, lagging span is free and clear. So there's literally nothing here telling us we want to close our position either. So I would say leave it open if you have one. Consider dollar cost averaging into a position with Movr because it does look like it wants to break out and continue higher. Will it do that today? Perhaps not. We might see a little bit of consolidation and further retracement before it breaks out again. Just know that right around the price point of $108 roughly will be a potential resistance level as well as 96. So just generally speaking, I would expect the price to kind of maybe continue to ramp up, but also in general, I think in the smaller time frame, like the more micro movement, we could expect a pullback. A lot of coins are exuding over-exhausted behavior because, again, of Bitcoin ramping up very hard, very quick yesterday when it bounced off of 44,500 and shot right up to 47. That is reflected in a lot of coins now. And that movement, of course, that pullback from Bitcoin today, of course, it retraced back down to 46 and some change. We're seeing that happen right now here with a lot of coins. So yes, it broke out. Yes, it'll continue upwards, I think, from here. I think likelihood of Movr moving up from here, no pun intended, is greater. I think there's a strong likelihood of it getting past 108 range, 106, somewhere there, and continuing higher. And where that would look, just so you know, potential, because in the last, this is roughly 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks worth of trading, we've seen a 123% increase. So to be able to get that same amount of growth, that 55% increase from here, to get us to $150, we need at least 2 to 3 weeks to get there. Now again, I'm not telling you we're going to see 150 in 2 to 3 weeks. That is a potential. The likelihood of that happening is fairly low. We need consolidation. We need more volume like we've seen today, consistently backing it up. If we just see a spike in volume today and then tomorrow it's back to usual, back to normal, we're not going to continue to experience the rate of growth that we've seen. We need more volume. We need more volatility, and that just requires more money coming into the market, or Bitcoin dominance continuing to lower and altcoins essentially increasing. So that could be what we see. Either way, I hope you found benefit and this makes sense how I explained it. I know I got a little wordy in some of that stuff, but that's just kind of the concept of how a trend breakout occurs. I hope that made sense. Thanks again for joining me. And if you want to become a better trader, again, as per usual, CryptoCache.tech, link in the description below. I look forward to getting to know you better. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.